All right. Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot and welcome to another episode of the Live TA. We do this session every Thursday and we invite our elite members to vote via Patreon for the assets that they want me to review live. But do not worry, if you're not part of the Patreon community, you can still join the stream, and as soon as I'm done with reviewing the assets that they requested, we can move on to review the ones that you are asking me. I have the chat right here and I need to pop it out so I can see it. And on this one, we are going to capture the assets that you want me to review. And I'm saying assets, not that, because on the last live stream and last Thursday, there were plenty of requests of stocks, commodities, and ETFs. And I'm liking that. I like reviewing things that I have never done, and we can continue doing so. Although the title still says this is an altcoin session, feel free to request any asset. The first one that appears in the comments is going to be the first one I review right after I'm done with the request from the elite members. And then after that, we want the chat to become really a lot more noisy than this. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. The more noisy it gets, the better for me. So, I just dropped my coffee. Thanks God it got a cover. So you see, this is risk management. You see, there is a cover right there. I dump a little bit of coffee, but I didn't make a huge mess, because that will be what happens if you are not using risk management at all, right? I just got a tiny bit of coffee in my phone. But anyways, let's move on and let's go into the actual assets that you are requesting. We're gonna start with Novo Nordisk. What is this? NVO. I think it's this one on the New York Stock Exchange. And we're going to review it on the weekly time frame. There's been quite a big move up from 2022 into the highs of 2024, and then there's been a correction. But that correction is starting to put slightly a double bottom, an accumulation of bullish divergences in here. Let me see more detail of what is this. This is health technology, pharmaceuticals. There's a new pill version is gaining popularity, especially among men. What is this? Well, anyways, I've no clue about this. I'm just gonna focus on the technicals. We have resistance at 61 and support at 47. And there has been swipe the low event in here, right? So we have a new low formed there, and now we have a new high. So this trading range between 47 and 61 might be due for a breakout, possibly. And that's what the momentum is saying that we are doing. We got a channel up in the momentum, and we have the most bullish support at 42 RSI. Let's see, where is that? And by the way, if you want your assets being at the beginning of the video, you know what to do. You just join as an elite member, and then you get access to the poll that I run every week. And then on Thursday, you're going to be able to watch this. You can join it live or you can watch the recording later. I think the RSI is saying, thanks to this high, that we might be able to hold that 60 and continue to the upside. But we are definitely due for one of two things. Bitcoin just did something similar. Either we go for the most bullish support at 40 and we reverse back now into 50s. That will imply that basically that we are trapped in the trading range, because ideally we want to defend that 60. Second option is the most bullish one. We defend the 60 and we potentially go against this and we start accelerating. That's another option. Let's see how it was on the way down. I love to see how things are on the way down to speculate how they could be on the way up. We got a channel in here. We got the breakout. Right, so we need to defend that 40. We need to defend 49. That's the last line in the sand. If we break that 49 in here, we get like a big, massive bear pattern. We don't want to be losing it again. We already lost it at the 42. and reclaim. So we are now due for that potential upside. There's an inverse cup and handle as well. Let me show it in there. There's this cup and handle. So the target of that one with this breakout should be facing the order block at $80. That $80 forms another bullish pattern, obviously. That one there, which is a larger cup and handle, and then you get bigger targets. If we can get there, obviously, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but getting there can get you over the $118 if we persist with this completely change of momentum on Novo Nordisk. I thought it was something to do with hard drives for some reason, but it's actually a pharmaceutical. Then you can see how I'm exposing my complete ignorance in this area. So let's go with the next one, which is Copper Miners ETF. And I like reviewing things about copper. If you watch my video on the Trading Parrot, the BTC gold, I also cover gold against copper, and there is a lot of insights that you can get when copper is overperforming gold or gold overperforming copper. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to that video and get started with that topic, because it's really full of insights about the market direction and stuff. It tells you what really is going on in the macro, in the economy and everything. Let's go with COPX and let's have a quick look. It's miscellaneous investment trust mutual funds. Copper mining ETF hits a new 52-week high. Whoa, this is really running heavy. And actually, well, let me see if I have copper here. Yeah, copper is also running 636, but well, this pattern is not great. From 2011, let me see copper. But it broke out. It broke out to the upside. It's a bearish pattern. It should have broken down from 4.6, but it's going against it, and it's currently breaking out to the upside. Anyways, let's go back to the actual stock, the ETF, COPEX. It broke the all-time high at 62. Right in, it did some sort of retest, a painful one, coming back below it at 57. It reload and it continue. Right now, in terms of RSI, it's at the highest level it's ever been at 85. The previous one was 83.5, so 1.5 point higher than that, and it's been defending support very aggressively. There was a breakdown, a fake out here. This was in 17th of November. That would have been a short, but the bull flag defended the previous all-time high and it managed to reclaim and continue. So if you place it like that, that is your current support. There's some gaps at 87. Gaps are not being filled. There's another one at 70. This one got filled at 57, but that one there, I suspect there's still one at 71, and there's one at 86. And if we were, so there was a fake out. I'm supportive of the idea of maybe this guy doing that once again and get it a little bit messy in this area. Let me do a bit of, this is already weekly. The most traded area is 40. We created another trading area at 62. We are in price discovery, and we definitely went beyond the golden pocket in here. So from this, sorry, let me do it again, because the high is that one there. So golden pocket is coming in at $100 precisely. If you use this low, if you use the most recent low in October 2022, this is a long-term chart, we already went way beyond that. But from this low, you got coming in a resistance, also psychological at $100. We'll see how that performs. And I suspect that at $100, it's going to get messy in here. It's going to get a lot more resistance, and potentially you're going to get another, either a fake out from here or an actual breakdown, turning this line into resistance and then some pullbacks. But this is going to rally together with metals. So if we get metals devastation, well, that's where we are going to go back to reality and start following the patterns and the trading. Because at the moment it's euphoria. And, you know, during euphoria, you get rallies that are just nonsense. You get areas of RSI never seen in history, blah, 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 and stuff like that. That's where you trap people. And then you trap people in metals, you can trap people for 20 years easily, and the back holders for 20 years, and people capitulating very slowly. Let me get this coffee. Yes. Okay. Let's go with the next one, which is an ETF we've been reviewing for a few weeks in a row. It's REMX. And yes, I promise we're going to switch into crypto at some point very soon. This one is probably going to be a quick one. I think last week we were talking about how this completely went against the idea of the channel down, despite the fact that it was obvious that it was going to do it. But this is to do with rare earths and very close proximity to the domain of metals. Remember that metals are not just rallying because of countries accumulating, it's because of what you can do with those metals, and it's all to do with the tech and AI as well, in a way. So if you focus on these additional elements that are required for that, then you understand why they are rallying in a similar way as metals, in a nonsense way. So the most likely scenario in here was to respect the channel down, but it didn't. Then the most expected scenario on a revenge rally is when you hit 78 to get a rejection, but this one went into almost 81. So it's behaving similar to all the other metals, despite the fact that it's an ETF around rare earths and strategic metals. Well, you got it in the name as well there. What's going to happen with this in euphoria? Because I could continue telling you that the revenge rally in there is supposed to fail. That's the most likely scenario from technicals, but we have to also acknowledge where we are in terms of psychological points. We got this cup and handle that I was tracking before, and the full target was around 115. Let me be precise, 117, and we are about to hit that target. So I wonder what's going to happen at that point. Also, we're going to get very close to the previous highs. That high was 128, so slightly higher than the technical target, but that's where we could be facing some turmoil. I'm in favor of a new high, just because this was a higher high, this was a higher low. There's very long swings. This is from 2021, so be careful there. But we are coming from the actual highs of 349. And let me do a little bit of a projection there. So if we do a projection that takes you into 155, the lows shows you that this is, a megaphone pattern. There's some people that trade megaphone patterns like this, and then they expect that continuation to upside, just so you're aware. I have not done that ever, but I'm well aware that some people do. But we need to be looking for a cool down as well. You get to levels of 84, then 85. Let's say we get to, continuing with the upside into 86. And where is that in the price? Another high likely area to monitor, which is in confluence with the technical target. It's around 120 this time instead of 117, the technical target. So around that area, watch out what's going on. Yep. All right, let's go into the next one, which is going to be Ethereum. We're going to be reviewing what's going on with the most important altcoin. Most of the TA I'm going to do in these live streams are always as it comes in. I don't prepare. And I think that is something cool. Some people appreciate that they see the raw TA. Let me know in the comments if that's your case. Good morning. People are requesting some coins in here, some other assets. Good morning to everybody. Cool. I'm going to leave the chat right there. And so Ethereum had that breakout on the weekly, and it lost the most bullish support last week. And now we are on a layer 2 potential, rejection in here at 44. Let me see how things are in terms of liquidity as well. And Ethereum is not there. Ethereum USDT on the daily. Right. So this pattern didn't survive. It got a rejection right at the neckline. So it didn't break out at all. It lost that support and now potentially facing that as resistance. Ugh. So on the daily, you can see the puke is also in here after the breakout. So on the 19th of January is where things got gray area with Ethereum. We could, try to insist, right? Because there was a bullish pattern in here and it clearly failed. But we can have some sort of compromise and turn this into a different pattern. If we are really addicted to that hopium and we wanna insist, not that you have to, but some people might appreciate that we can spot something else, because I think there might be some upside into February. So I'm keen of trying to spot that upside, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if we can spot it, it will be cool. So you can see that this was defending those 3 levels, then it broke that level, and it hasn't followed through into 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. If it holds that 2,900 and it remains within this new channel, there's a chance that it goes into 3.382. And, this morning in the video in YouTube, in the BTC one, BTC is doing something similar to that. So I talk about a long where you reclaim 89, I think it is. So on Ethereum, the equivalent is 2.9. And if you hold that 2.9, now you can move into 3.387. There is that potential. Of course, the momentum has taken a bullet, so be aware that there might be some additional failure. So treat it as a potential trade, but as a degen one. Price action needs to reclaim the 2.9. That is a level of previous support and resistance. What's going on with the longs and shorts? Not major things. Go back to the price action. So how this could turn bullish? If it forms a double bottom in here. So we did already one side. If it holds around 2.8 and then it goes back into 3.3, then you get a double bottom. We need to get into 3.3, in other words, to form something now decent, because this otherwise will fulfill as a bear flag, similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in a bear flag, and you got that scenario where you can fail and you can go into the 70s, which we are well aware. We're just trying to stretch it to find how could this reverse into a February that is bullish, because that is just according to past performance. Technicals are favoring the downside, and I think on Ethereum as well. Next level of support is 2.5. Just so you're aware, there is an area of trading that has happened at least 3 times in a row around the 2.5. If that doesn't hold, we go into the 2000. That's the area I'm interested to add in Ethereum. Let's go now. I'm not gonna do BTC because I just released a video, so that will mean repeating everything. So I'm gonna go into your requests in the chat, starting with the top one. Let me put this in chronological order. There you go. So the first one is LLY, Eli Lilly, which I'm not sure if it's token. And the next coin I'm gonna do is the latest comment that appears in the chat. So if you want your coin review, your asset review, it needs to be the latest comment. That is gonna make the chat noisy, and that's precisely what I want. So let's go with LLY in the meantime. Again, never heard about this company. It's a health technology pharmaceuticals. Again, we got a massive rally in here. A bull flag that already broke out. That bull flag has a target like that. It has done more than half, like 2/3. The target is 1354 if it can hold. At the moment is in the process of testing the previous all-time high. It already tested once at 973. Notice we have a percentile signal here calling for the rally, for coming back into the upside. And we had a breakout on the RSI weekly. But there is a breakdown as well. Let me see, compress that. And you can see that the most bullish support has broken in here at that area there. So if this wasn't such a big uptrend, I will say the most likely scenario now is to go slightly deeper and maybe test the $788 where you have the point of control of the previous range, in which case this was a failure. Just because it's breaking down, forming a double top in here with a neckline at $1,000, pointing towards, let me calculate it because I want to give you a better number. So I think the neckline is at 1,000 and it could come back into 877. That is the target of that. But since the uptrend is so strong, and I'm not sure if there's any bearish news or something, maybe it's just something temporary, but there's a chance as well that this could fake out and come back up just because of the heavy uptrend. So if you're gonna trade this, the perfect area was, from the next top in a double top, not from the neckline itself. That's an area of strength rather than weakness. The weakness is at the top, and the breakdown in here might push just like into 976 and then continue with the uptrend and fake you out. That's why it's not great to short the breakdown itself, but the area of weakness at the top. What else can I say about this? I think that's all for now. So I'm gonna go with XMR. That's the latest coin from Super Pro Max Plus. Let's go with XMR on the weekly. Okay, so why I don't have any lines? I should have some lines. Oh, there are my lines. Right, so there was a breakout in September. We got a layer 1 broken there. Now we got a layer 2 broken. So that's 2 bullets that XMR is taking. So it's kind of deteriorating, we could say, the performance of XMR after being in a pretty decent channel up, then grabbing liquidity, breaking down, then breaking out. But now this is just all over the place. It has already reached the golden pocket, and you got so many longs in here that are definitely now underwater. You can see that they enter in this green candle, and then in this green candle, a lot of longs enter at some point that you get more longs than ever since listing. I'm not sure if this was the first time it got listed in an exchange. This is NQCoin, listed in 2021, so possibly it's listed somewhere else before. But there's plenty of longs and the momentum is deteriorated, and that must be really scary for them. So there might be a bit of additional move down in here just because of that breakdown. And so let's look for next levels of support. So 414 is the beginning of this green candle, is the previous high, and it's been already tested, but we are very close to coming back and test 416. Next level is 313, and I think there might be a case to go that low to 315. Just because of the shooting star. Obviously, if we reclaim 487, we get a chance to possibly put a stress the shorts. Let me see how the shorts are doing in that area. Let me see how close they are from the price. Okay, so they're fairly distant from the price. They are mostly at $800. I need an RSI and I need a sip of coffee. Right. On the daily, things look a little bit more promising. There's been a breakout and a painful retest, and we're putting a new high in the momentum. Price is below previous support right there. There is a massive liquidation at 411. Ouch. So yeah, that is quite heavy now to move quickly. I guess it's a low-hanging fruit because of all this trading range bouncing off 411. It created that. And there's a lot of longs that are betting at the moment on this breakout. So I think there's an opportunity in here for reclaiming the 486 and starting something that pushes the shorts into risk. But if that fails, definitely the 412 is at massive risk, and that will cause this breakout to fail. Let me see. So from 41, if we were to go to 30, we have some room in here for putting a pivot and then an additional move and still remaining intact. The question is, can we go into 30, grab that, produce another bullish divergence, and keep that potential channel up intact? And I think that is kind of the $1 million question in here. If you go too deep there, then you break the channel, or you produce a channel that is with a slope very flat. So I would prefer to defend the 30 and grab that, give the best risk to reward, and bet on that reversal if there are other technicals supporting and Bitcoin price action supportive of upside. If not, if you are already in the trade, consider that is your risk. If you go there, that might go there and then still reverse to the upside. So personally, I would put my stop loss somewhere in here, and assuming that you enter with not all the size, let the price go there and then go in the upside direction. I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know in the comments. Next coin is SUI. Oof, this is pretty disappointing. From price action, from RSI, not that bad. From momentum, it's not that bad. But it all depends on this week, I will say. Well, I always say that. Yeah. Let me explain why. Price action on SUI. We got a double bottom. It broke out. It reached, I don't know, 60, 70% of the technical target against $2. $2 psychological level push back down. It pushed into the neckline. that week, but the week after it completely came back to where it started. We are right there at the last line of support, which is, why do I have the line there? Well, because we tested those two levels. This one is because of that high. Can we get more flexible, this line? So I will put it like that, just because that's the closest body we have, and I'm gonna get rid of this because I think it's no sense, that one. So we are currently testing that level of support at 136, and momentum is telling us a different story. Momentum is saying that if we were to hold the price that we currently have, which is keeping the RSI right there at 35, what we are actually doing is reclaiming this line of support, that line of 35. We are starting to put higher highs and higher lows on the momentum. You can see it in the momentum, right? So how we are approaching the 47. So if this persists into resistance, price is going to follow through and eventually break the $2. But if price breaks below 135 on a candle closing basis, and that is going to cause that this RSI closes back below 35. And that becomes more gray area when it comes to, having some reversal in here. It could form a double bottom at 32, but you get the point. We were supposed to defend the 35, and we need to focus on that as the first line of defense. The 32 is second line of defense, but gray area already. Let's look into liquidity. SUI. Right, so on the daily, there was the breakout. The breakout started from around 6th of December. It got really noisy in here. It had an impulsive move into 70, but we are constantly coming back to that support. And this support, what do we have below? Right, we have obviously liquidations at 1.3. Yeah, so there is a chance for a setup in here, and the setup might be to let this guy liquidate below 1.3, maximum into 1.2. If it goes beyond 1.2, it doesn't look anymore like a liquidity hunt, and liquidity hunt is basically that, right? And reclaim the 1.3 and then continue and put a new high and liquidate $2 and start, progressing. Maybe, just maybe, is being delayed and wants to take that before. Notice that the liquidity peaks around there, but it continues all the way until, let's say, $1. So if it really wanted to do a full wipe, is $1. But I wouldn't bet on $1 to just wait until the actual $1, because if it goes that low, it might not go into $1, and you might end up just wasting your time, because not always you capture all the liquidity. You will capture all the liquidity if Bitcoin has a massive hiccup and it goes into 70s. Yeah, sure, then you're gonna go to 1 and possibly into 50 cents on SUI, if that's the case. But if Bitcoin behaves and just goes sideways under normal circumstances, it's very easy for this to just wipe 1, 2, or maximum, 1, 2, and that's it, right? And just take what is the largest liquidity there and then move on. Right, next coin is ICP. Always the latest comment is the one that wins. I'm not being picky, so make sure that you keep the chat busy. That helps me, but it also makes it fun for you to play the game of competing with the other ones. ICP is always a mess to do TA. What is it called? Internet Computer Protocol, Internet Computer something. It's kind of a techie coin, but don't listen to me for fundamentals because I really suck at fundamentals. I have terrible memory. 18, 19, 15, then the previous high of 9. So we continue to respect this green line, despite the fact that there's been some fake outs. I feel like ICP is gaining momentum in here. Because, why do I say that? Because I see price definitely being devastated, putting lower lows and lower highs. But I see the momentum trying to do some attempts to reverse that, right? So you got this low, that low, and then potentially a higher low in here, higher high relative to that one. So I start feeling like, yeah, maybe we could do something like this. It's just hinting towards that thesis. And if we do that, we might face resistance at the moment. The confluence is around $7, but we just closed at $7. So let me stretch this a little bit longer. Will it take that long until June 2026 to hit 5.8? I don't know. But 7.2 has already been visited by this. So possibly you close at 5.8 and then you leave a week into 7.3. Let's see that liquidity to speculate a little bit with more information. This is still respecting the 2.9 support. That's previous support in 2023 as well. And yeah, liquidity. ICP. On Binance, let's do daily. And let's use all the leverage levels. So that is gone at 7. Now we need to focus just here. Right, we have a big level at 2.4. What's going on at 2.4? Well, 2.4 is below that support. We went into 1.2, and there is apparently a possibility that you're going to lose temporarily the 2.8 support and go into 2.4 just because that held and you got a rejection. Ideally, you don't have to do that. That's a new low for ICP. It's really showing weakness if we do that, but that's where everybody is at the moment in a long, and the price is sharply approaching that level, 49 inverse cap and handle that definitely can go that low. It's not a forecast, this, guys, okay? This is just probabilities. I'm not telling you we will go there. I'm just saying that this sharp decline there into the support of 3.1 says that if you break down that, it definitely is within reach, right? It's not difficult at all to wipe all of that. Liquidity kind of ends sharply at 2.1, but that might be because because it's too long ago that we've been that low, or maybe we've never been there. There was just a Binance collapse in October 10th that went into 1.8. So we don't have any liquidity in this range. Okay, that's ICP. Next coin is going to be CRV. That doesn't look good either. It broke down support in September. It's trapped within this trading range between 0.42 and 34. And let me see where I place support. So I place support based on that support and that resistance, support again, but we are trading below support. We are trading below 34, and we might start trading into 23 in this trading range. I ignore what's going to happen. It is just a free fall at the moment, and there was a dead cat bounce into 43. Let me see if the momentum says that we might reclaim 43. There is a breakout in this area that started on the 22nd of December, and we're about to take the low. The low is 34. This is 36. So we really want to defend that level. Ideally, we want to reclaim the 34 and form a double bottom in the price in here. So if you are taking the long from 34, do it with a small position based on the idea that it might reclaim 34. It's a critical level. So if you reclaim that one and you rally into 43, you are risk-free and you have formed a double bottom. It's painful to watch. So that's why when you do it with a small amount, and you know that you might need to average around these levels again, or you just get out at 32 or 31 somewhere with a stop loss. That is the long setup. If you don't want to take that scary one, you can wait until lower levels. To be more specific, let me go to CRB here. Do we have CRB? I don't think so. Oh, unfortunate. Let's go in here. Three months. Okay, at 46, there is the biggest leftover of liquidation levels into 0.5. There is some liquidity right here. It's not that big. Let me, yesterday I got really upset. Not upset, but I was like, how come some influencers, to make a point, the guy say, for example, this is the chart, right? You have the liquidity threshold. That's the way it comes out of the box. Sometimes to make it more visible, I let you know that I'm doing this, and I'm the normalization, I'm saturating it so you can see the levels, but I'm telling you I'm doing that. I'm not telling you, oh, this is massive. Well, there is an influencer yesterday that almost made me puke, did this. And he said, look at the liquidations at the top. There's so many. Oh yeah, there's everywhere. Why are you putting the liquidity threshold like that and posting on Twitter? Come on. And 500,000 people reading that post and saying, oh yeah, there's a short squeeze coming for Bitcoin. Gosh, so easy people to fall, for influencers that are entertaining and then just literally swallowing the biggest piece of crap ever. They should be called off anyways. CRV. So we got liquidation at 46. We got a very tiny leftover below that support. It's not very heavy, but I only have 3 months of data. So really, I cannot inform you properly how attractive is to go below the support of 21, unfortunately. And that is the long, you could long lower from 23. Let's go with the next one, Solana. Ouch. All right. So it seems that this week, the 19th of January, you got lower lows on everything and you lose critical levels everywhere. We could say that about pretty much every coin, including Ethereum, now including Solana. I haven't done XRP. I don't know if someone has asked for that one. If you want XRP, write it down. But this is a bearish pattern. It's a cup and handle. You lost the support. It is bullish to reclaim the 130. We say that clearly. We went into the next resistance at 148, but then we lost the support again. And we put a new low with a red engulfing candle. Now we are approaching the 130 as resistance. So this could reclaim, right? If Bitcoin leads, if Bitcoin starts doing something really bullish in February, yeah, we're going to see Solana invalidating anything bearish, I'm going to say now. But you have to know the targets that are bearish because this just lost and is testing resistance. So let's see what happens. The liquidity hand, we already had it and it failed. That's the point. We got a trading range at $60 and we have this downwards sloping support that was tested at 93 and it comes in at 65. You have that trading range at 60. Is 60 attractive? That's the question. Let's see. We don't know if we're going to go there, but we need to understand how attractive it is. Right. Well, our inverse head and shoulder failed at 130. It tested 126. It never went into 144. So if you enter at the right shoulder, you got your stop loss hit somewhere in here. What is the next level of liquidation is 114, and it declines into 86 and then very sharply after that. And we were talking about the 60. So what liquidity do we have there? Well, it's been a long time we are not in this trading range. So we don't have any liquidity post 84. The last time we were around there was in 2023. So that's a few years ago. So the lowest hanging fruit is 114, and I left it here highlighted. Probably what I said is if the shoulder doesn't manage, have some stop loss in there, because in that case we are going to 114 and we still don't take 114. So it's still on the table and we are already bouncing into 126 to test it as new resistance. If that resistance holds, it's pretty much guaranteed that we take 114 and possibly 107 and $100. That will $100 will probably depend on Bitcoin losing 80. I will say. Let's remove this. Let me see the momentum. So momentum broke out at 37 weekly. It didn't manage to put a new low. So if we defend that 37, we could form a full double bottom. I was looking for a double bottom, and so this was my expectation that is clearly having trouble to achieve. This double bottom is the one that I was looking to compare against that one, and it's being extended, right? So instead of just forming a structure there, it could form a structure in here. Notice that I'm wearing my bullish hat. This could definitely fail as well. You could go intra-candle during the week and capture the 114 and then reclaim and still form the double bottom. Let me see how it looks, the double bottom on the daily, in the daily chart. So if we do a double bottom, it will look something like this. If we can do that, that's the next potential bullish setup. The previous one already failed. If we did that, we need to take 114, reclaim 122, and ideally go back into 126 to be risk-free. At that point, you just wait and see if we can really fully form the whole thing. A failure of this, how does it look like? It goes to 114 and it still goes into 106. At that point, you possibly need to be out of the trade again. Notice that the daily broke this bullish support and it reclaimed it. So we'll see if at this current price of 122 still holds. My guess is that it won't hold because we just have such a huge level of liquidation at 113 that is just very attractive. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. No one does. Someone says, you being live is so much better, feels very natural and not the split second cuts every few seconds. Keep up the work. You become my new favorite TA guy. Thanks so much, Quality Crypto. Yeah, the cuts are because, you want everybody to be able to watch a video in 20 minutes. And I always fail on that. I'm just going to do the last coin. Since I don't see any other coins, I'm going to go back up and do fill. And that will be the last one. After that, I'm going to record my next video in the channel Crystal Gains. Subscribe to that one. So let's go with fill. And right, we need to catch up on this one. I haven't done it in a while. So this line still is valid. We are still, let's correct it a bit more precise, something like that. And the top line is still valid, although we never went that high into 4.4. We are on the RSI still respecting bullish divergence, and we need to defend 36.46. So I put this line in there. The liquidity hunt on the momentum scenario is still playing out. They got squashed, definitely. So this reclaimed there. And as soon as it reclaimed, it went after all the shorts. What happened in the price? Well, this was breaking down, and it caught all the dudes shorting in here and say, where are you going? Shut up. All the way. How much up? Like 300%. 300%. Wow. Yeah. And no one saw that coming. At the moment, we are in a scenario where we have so many shorts. How many? We are at 28%. That is similar to this low in July in 2024. What happened last time we had so little shorts? Sorry, so little longs, where we stayed in this trading range for about 133 days, but the longs started accumulating with the price just going sideways, more longs, more longs, more longs, more longs, more longs, and into the top of the range, $8. What's currently going on? Well, we are trading sideways at support, but longs are very low, but they have not yet started reversing back up. So I will say it's an area of privilege because there's very little longs. I will say it could go lower, sure. It could take this low of 27, yeah, maybe, or maybe not, because we are at support. And it could come back into $2. That is previous support. We lost it, we reclaim it, we went lower. We could come back into $2, definitely. That's a low-hanging fruit. Liquidity on field. Let's look at this. Yeah, there's a big chunk in here at 1192, followed by 1153. After that, the largest, oh, wait a second. The largest is $1. All right, so this changes a lot of things. I put all the leverage levels, and now the largest is $1. It's definitely heavy. There's quite a big chunk in here to liquidate and fill, maybe before we move on. And this is a fairly bearish pattern. So hypothetically, let's say this is a head and shoulder, and the neckline is 1.2, and the target is probably a negative price. No, not negative, 75 cents. But definitely halfway through, you squash everybody into $1. So there is that scenario. This is something cool to find out. On the top end, you have 1.7 and 1.9 to liquidate. So I personally will say I'm going to officially call this accumulation area, and privilege if you can enter at $1 or slightly below. Let me save it. So I can say, if it happens, I'm going to call it out. You have very little number of longs. It could go slightly lower, and you got that area at $1. At $1, how far is that? It's not that far. It's right here, again at the support of the same line. So if there is this opportunity to go into $1 and then resume to the top of the wedge, notice that this wedge is bullish. It's a bullish pattern, just saying. It's supposed to eventually break out from $3 and go back up. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, and we are in a bear market, so who the hell knows? But it's a bullish pattern, just so you know. This on the daily is bearish, and let me see what's going on with the RSI, and then I'm done. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. We're gonna do another one on Thursday. Make sure that you're subscribed, and if you want your assets to be reviewed at the beginning of the video, or secure them so you don't end up just waiting and you never get your coins, join Patreon as an elite that supports the channel. Let's do it properly. Well, properly is like that. No, it's very difficult to do it in here. I think it's too messed up, the RSI, to do something clean. Look, I'm always looking for something that just falls, but this is declining. There is some upside that is already happening in within this pattern, but it's gonna find resistance at 53. Definitely some bullish divergence, because we have equal lows in the price at 1.2, but momentum is putting higher lows. No, wait a second. Lower low here. Well, it depends. If it plays, if this reverses back up and it prints this pivot that is higher than that, and those are equal, so that's a bullish divergence, but it's not confirmed. Yeah. All right. Longs from areas of liquidity, not guaranteed we're going to go into $1. Is very difficult to really consider a long from around here, considering that there's so much liquidity at $1. But there is a very attractive levels at $2, which could bring this into around that resistance there at $2 on the daily. This is a bullish pattern, and eventually it should break out at some point. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and if you do, hit the like, write down comments, come back, share with your friends, and I'll see you next week on another one of